Sweet home Chicago.
Hello, and welcome back to another team profile and projection here on Talkin' Baseball. We've been doing an episode a day, every day until opening day. For a while, we've been doing them. So tune in. Come back. If you're a Cubs fan and you want to hear about the rest of the division, you got it. We've got it ready for you. Cubs, you guys were ranked by our audience, and this is the pre-Bellinger ranking, 14th in Major League Baseball. So I don't know if it would have changed it a lot. Some other things changed with the rankings as well, Jake. What changed specifically with these Cubbies?
I think a lot of people were anticipating Belly to be back, including ourselves, and Belly is back. Who they added? Shota. Imanaga. How about that? Put him in the rotation. Let's see what the lefty has coming over from the NPB. Hector Neris. It's a fun signing. Bolster that bullpen a little bit. A lot of B words. Michael Busch traded from the Dodgers with Yincy Almonte. And then there's a ton of MILB invites. David Peralta, the Freight Train, Dom Smith, Garrett Cooper, Alfaro, Carl Edwards Jr. So wouldn't be surprised if a couple of those guys end up breaking camp with the squad. Who they lost? They traded for my guy Jamer at the deadline last year. Marcus Stroman, who was so good for about 3 months for them. Also, some bullpen guys in out. Fulmer, Green, Birdie. But yeah, I think the biggest announcement recently was Belly back, and that lineup does feel a lot better with him in the middle of it, Trev.
Yeah, if they lost Cody Bellinger's stats from last year and had to fill those in, they'd have a tough time doing it. So it's very nice to see old Belly back in those, what are they, blue pinstripes? I don't know. Anyways, the top of that lineup, I'm looking at them liking, guys. I know everyone's like, you like every lineup. Well, you know what? I actually do like this a lot. Nico Horner at the top there, doesn't strike out. He's going to be at the top of the lineup with Dansby Swanson, making it one of the better middle infield groupings in baseball. You got those two at the top. Our guy, Ian Happ, he'll be in left field in the middle of that lineup. Cody Bellinger, as you mentioned, in center field. Seiya Suzuki in right field. I like that outfield a lot. Happ, Belly, Suzuki. Suzuki's got a few things. He likes to get benched. You just bench him like every once in a while, and then he just becomes a different player. So he likes that, like smack him around a little bit. Love that for him. Christopher Morel is going to get a shot to be the everyday third baseman this year, and Jake, you'll be talking about him later. That's your guy. Patrick Wisdom will be one of the people that will be at the DH position. They probably will use that as a rotating rest day of sorts, platoonish, if you will. Michael Busch, newly acquired, as you mentioned, he comes over. He's got a shot to be the everyday first baseman there. And then bringing up the rear at catcher, I believe it's going to be Miguel Amaya with Yan Gomes backing him up. That bench, guys you know, guys you like, Nick Madrigal, Miles Mastropioni, and Mike Tauchman. So there's some depth there. There's some platoon stuff there. There's some set it and forget it guys in the lineup. Bringing Belly back definitely helped. James, talk to us about the rotation in the bullpen.
The rotation lost some members last year, and then they replaced some members this year. We got Justin Steele, Cy Young contender last year, had an amazing season. Jamison Tyone struggled a little bit, but I like JMO, and he's a gamer, and made a lot of changes in his career. I think he can adapt. Shota Imanaga, funny guy. Great opening press conference. Kyle Hendricks, good year last year. Jordan Wicks slots in the 5th spot right now. They do have some other names you can watch for. And then in the bullpen, they got some good stuff going on. They got Adbert Alzolay. They got Hector Neris. Heard of him. They signed him. Mark Leiter Jr., Javier Assad, Julian Merriweather, Drew Smiley, Jose Quas, Yincy Almonte. The rotation's pretty good. Steele's pretty good. I think Tyone's going to keep you in games. I trust him to do that. I haven't looked at his game log last year, but I know halfway through it was rough, or was it the second half?
Tale of two halves.
Okay. And then Imanaga is interesting because if he's good, that's a big, big game changer for them to have there. Kyle Hendricks, the professor. It's good.
I could listen to you say the professor like that all day. Flashbacks. I want to start out with some lineup because I will say the depth on this team feels a little different. Like even looking at pitching and offensive options, I like some of the depth options that will end up finding a way and clicking and participating in this team's season. Even digging through some of their bullpen options. I know Cubby fans have been loud about it the past couple years, and I haven't been super into it, and I started digging. I was like, okay, there's some things that might start really clicking out there. For me, it's how does the lineup sort out? Third base, first base, cornerstones, literally. People are excited for Michael Busch. Dude has some crazy minor league numbers, top 50 prospect. Dodgers moved on from him pretty quickly. They're also the Dodgers, and they get to do stuff like that. Will he get run? We heard a lot about Matt Mervis last year, and it's like, all right, so he's already behind Busch, we think. And then recently they just brought in some guys to camp. Garrett Cooper, Dom Smith. Makes me a little worried about how they're looking at the first base position. Patrick Wisdom is around, and his homers per game last year are in some Plouffe home run derby areas. I love Chris Morel. I think that figures it out. Offensively, his stats have come together each year. They said they liked that he was playing third base in the Dominican League and how that was looking. It's crazy to me that they could be making potential decisions on, that short season and making moves on that. I love his energy, and I love how he plays, that he's going to find a spot on these Cubbies if they do trade him, which there's been a lot of rumors around that. I would hate that if I was a Chicago Cubbies fan. But I am interested to see how it sorts out because remember the other thing with the Cubs, it was kind of all-world defense. Like Dansby and Horner, special up the middle. What Belly does. Happer keeps racking up some gold on that glove. Whoops. You wonder how much you lean into team identity. Do you put more defensive guys over there so that's how your team's built? Or if Morel is struggling, but he's popping on pace for 35 homers. Fun story to watch with the Cubbies season. And that outfield that was so good last year, they've got a lot of minor league outfield depth with PCA, Brennan Davis, a couple other guys too that, I don't know. When I start thinking about that in this Cubs team that seems to starting to be going, I like the depth that can be plugged in, or when trade season starts to come around, the Cubbies are going to have ammo that I wonder if we look at this roster differently come the end of the year.
Yeah, the 40-man roster is well positioned for them to get through 162, and that's something that Counsell has mentioned during spring training. Like, hey, my goal is to make it through this with these guys, this group in check, because they are going to have to call upon those guys throughout the year. And when teams are able to bring up the replacement players and have them be average to above average big leaguers, I mean, that helps immensely. That keeps you on track, keeps your projections where they need to be. So I definitely tend to agree with you. You're a Morel guy. You've made me into Morel guy. So I started kind of looking at what was his year like last year? Like 26 homers in 107 games or something like that. If you just avoided his August last year, like we're talking about like a high 8s, 9 OPS type hitter here. He had a 547 OPS in August, really brought him down. But other than that, this guy was a producer. So if you can stick him at third base and he can be defensively adequate over there, because you did mention they have some real deal defenders on that team. If he can do that and hit, I think he ends up staying there, and we see kind of a young stud in the making. He's got that potential for sure.
I like their defense a lot. I mean, I think they have the best up the middle defense in all of baseball with Swansby and Horner.
Yes.
I think Petriello just put an article saying like those two are ranked top 5 in the whole league, and they're the same guys, man and covering ground together. But then you look at the corners and you're like, what are you going to get there? Who's going to play first? They had how many first basemen did they have last year? A bajillion?
A lot.
Over under?
I'd go under Jill, but
well, it's just naive of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different guys made 10 starts or more at first for them. I don't know. Where does this team fall short? They have Counsell. I think this
they
is
also they also have a way to be really good defensively if they have PCA on the roster and they go, hey, PCA, you're taking center field. Belly, you're going to first base.
Yeah.
Then we're talking about like, okay, we're just keep adding defensive versatility and usefulness. So there's like the depth here is, I think, probably the key to this team.
I think I like the Cubs.
Okay.
Be cool if Bush can hit. He's hit everywhere. His like PCL numbers last year, crazy. Kind of blocked by that guy, Freddie Freeman. He's good too. I like the balance they have with Hatt being a switch hitter, Bellinger being a lefty. If Bush is playing, he's a lefty. I'm rooting for Shota because his press conference was funny.
We're gonna root for Shota. I'm in for him getting a hot start. Nobody's seen him pitching at Wrigley. It's cold. It's tough to get the ball out anyways. That I could see Shota getting out of the gates pretty good. He's going to be fun to track this season. Honestly, my biggest concern, and Cubs fans, sharpen the knives, Justin Steele. Last year, his first year pitching big boy innings, and he had the second half was not nearly as impressive. And having an ace, like the ripple effect of that, and Cubs fans, you can put the knives away because Justin Steele is an ace. Like his last 2 years have been awesome, gaudy. He limped down the stretch a little bit, and is that just fatigue? Is that getting seen more? What is that? Because if Justin Steele isn't a 1 for this team next year, and whether that's injury or just, the league adjusts or whatever it is, and maybe this isn't, and this whole combo goes out. But that is my biggest question mark for if the Cubs season goes wrong, not having Justin Steele being the staple of the rotation. Because I love JMO, like you said, but he was a tale of two halves last year, and we talked about Shota. And Marcus Stroman was really good he was like all JM team for 3 months. That if Justin Steele isn't that guy, then like there's a big yellow flag in the season. But
it was only 3 games for Steele at the end. It wasn't the whole second half.
I mean, his general second half stats, he got hit a lot more.
Yeah, but if you go
first half, he had a 607 OPS, 230 batting average against, 607 OPS. Second half, 14 starts, a 272 batting average, 728 OPS. So
yes,
I know
but
there's
it's
the blow-ups.
Those last two out of the last 3 games are awful.
Yep.
Because from July to September 9th, it's still really good.
Not as good.
Not as good, but that's kind of like when Kershaw was bad because he wasn't as good. I mean, he still was pretty fucking good.
He had an amazing year last year.
It was a 2.5 ERA.
You said you were liking the Cubs. I was telling the full story.
Yeah, but I don't think he had a bad second half. He had a bad last 2 games out of the 3. He was good for like 27 games, and he ran into 2 bad ones.
The rotation is not a problem for me on this team. I think they have plenty of guys to get the job done. Steele's gonna, even if he regresses a little bit, which you can probably expect, like he's still a top of the line starter. Shota coming over for 4 years, 53. That's a steal, dude. The projections also love this guy. They have him and Steele as top 10 starters in the National League. We got to see it. You got to go do it. Obviously, there's question marks there, but if you have those 2 guys making that amount of money, like that is a plus for your team. Like you can go out and do things at the deadline and you have some flexibility there. Hendricks is going to be what Hendricks is. Javier Assad last year was really, really good for them. You slot him in the 5th spot. He might be a swingman, bullpen type thing, or there's going to be 6 starters, whatever it is, whatever they want to do. Like he was really good last year. So yeah, you lost Stroman, who had a really good start, but you got Imanaga. Like I just think that defensively they're good. The lineup has length and it has depth. The rotation has depth, and the bullpen has been great. So we're getting to that tier of teams now where if the Cubs don't make the playoffs, it's a disappointment. And we're getting to that tier. So it's gonna be a fun year. And like they brought Belly back. What else are they gonna do? We've mentioned Matt Chapman going to them. Like that could fit. Seems like they have enough pieces already that maybe would rather spend the money somewhere else. But I think there's flexibility in the payroll. I think you have guys locked up. Like you have a roster that's going to be locked up for quite some time. Like there's just a lot to like about the Chicago Cubs right now.
They also were doing some flirty shit at the Boris press conference, and I know this is getting released way later than we were recording it, but when they signed Belly, they asked Boris if he had plans to do any more press conferences, and he looked over at Jed and was kind of like, And then Counsell said, I thought you were supposed to bring Monty with you, to Boris in front of everyone when they greeted. So
Great Counsell. Just
they got hopes for Monty
Getting
joining
in
this
there.
rotation. If that happens, I really like it.
well, we already gave Monty the Giants. He can't go to both teams.
Oh, I'd much rather Monty land on the Cubs.
Okay.
That'd be way more fun. IMO.
Blake Snell to the Cubbies. Like, he would look perfect in pinstripes.
I don't have him in the middle of the country. Monty.
Chicago's not like every other city. It's not like a regular mom. It's a cool mom.
Yeah. I live there. Lake Zurich. What up?
What up?
Chicago's got good food. Let's get off of that.
Okay, let's get off of that. They got Craig Counsell. He's the difference maker. He can take your B's and turn them into A's. I don't know how. I was just looking into all the manager like stats and like consistencies, seeing if Counsell like consistently does stuff different than other managers. No. You know, the stuff they track on Baseball Reference manager stats it's ridiculous that they even track it, but it is fun. It's like attempting to steal second base. He is always in the top half of that, but not like crazy top 5 or top 10. He doesn't sack bunt. He doesn't intentionally walk. And then like, I thought pitching changes per game, he would be high because in the olden days before they limited September call-ups, the Brewers would run through guys. But no, nothing there either. So it's just the vibes. He doesn't do a consistent lineup really that much. So like expect to be flowing with hot hand and injuries and rotating spots. He's not like a Dusty Baker or a Snitker who's going to find his top 4 and just ride him. Like he hasn't done that in the Brewers, but it could be a personnel thing. So, but he's a difference maker. Obviously, he's the best ever, and they paid him so much money.
Got to watch out for in the bullpen, Luke Little. A, we love alliteration. B, we love a big man pitcher. Luke Little, 6'8".
Yeah, he's 5th best name in the system.
And his minor league stats last year and got a cup of coffee at the bigs. All of it was impressive. Like that on the back end. And yeah, I know we're sneaking up on our DraftKings over-under, but something else to go with the ammo talked about and these, you know, whether it's prospects or some of the depth and this team that feels like they're entering a window. You know, if things go awry, which they can in baseball, this team doesn't have a lot of pieces to trade off. You know, Kyle Hendricks in his last year, outside of that, most of these guys are locked up on this team that even if this team is kind of a limpy Cubs team that's hovering around 500, what are we going to do? Like, I think it's kind of a chips on the table season that bodes well for Cubby fans.
Should we talk about the funny thing is going on at camp, or should we get straight to the DraftKings over?
Talk about the funny things, and then we'll get there.
Just some real good banter here, talking about, we like vibes. You talked about Craig Counsell bringing the vibes. I think this is a fun team, knowing some of the guys. Patrick Wisdom, he's a dancer. P. Wizzy is his Instagram name. Like, he's a character. Like that for them. We know Ian Happ, great guy. The Imanaga Seiya Suzuki battle was great because they had faced each other a lot prior to this. And so Shota said, we talked about it beforehand that would face, and I told him I'd throw fastballs only. And then he said, once he gets up there, he looks bigger, and I don't want to lose him. So I lied to him, and I threw him a breaking ball. Like, that's just good old-fashioned fun right there.
Yeah.
Say Suzuki may not think so. He might be a little upset.
Did you read the
at
post?
Shota
Suzuki
for
shit in
lying.
his locker. What?
I didn't hear what you said.
I forgot.
Okay, I wasn't supposed to hear that one. Next thing, which I thought was probably the funniest thing, because Jake you'll explain it after I tell you. Shota walks off the mound. Jan Gomes and him are gonna, get together and talk about like how it went and what's going on. But before, you always dap somebody up. Two different cultures, really haven't been around each other a lot. So one goes for the handshake, the other goes for the dap or the knuckles, and they end up doing what, Jake? A thumb war off the mound. So vibes are good here. Vibes are good in spring training for the Cubs. I'm happy for you guys. That's just good old-fashioned baseball fun right there.
That is fun. I like that a whole bunch.
Doesn't get better than that, and it doesn't get better than the DraftKings Sportsbook. The hoops are rolling. Chicago's got a basketball team. Not sure if you heard. And if you lay some cheese, put a little action on it, you can get a no-sweat bet. That means if you get it wrong, you'll get a bonus bet back in that amount up to $1,000. It's kind of wild. And that's when you sign up at DraftKings using code Talkin. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use promo code Talkin and get a no-sweat bet. It's promo code Talkin only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. The crown is mine. What are we dropping, boys? Is this a Cubs pod?
The number is 84.5. Now, mind you, this team won 83 games last year. Did they do enough to win 2 more games? If you think about it that way, I mean, you had Belly already, so that doesn't really count as an upgrade. You lose Stroman's good first half, but you bring in Shota. A couple guys more experience under their belt. Bring in Hector Neris in the bullpen. Is that all worth 2 games?
Craig Counsell's worth 7.
Craig Counsell's worth 7 games. Totally forgot.
Over.
7 war Counsell.
I'll take the over on the Cubbies.
Michael Busch solidifying first base. Yency Almonte coming over. I'm buying Cubs stock. I've been buying it. I want a party out there in the postseason. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but I'm just saying, like, that will be fun. So I think this is a playoff team. I think they can make moves if they need to make moves, Jake. So I'm going to take that over.
Yeah. I mentioned the Steele thing. The other thing are the 2 standout performances from last year's Cubs team. Belly post All-Star break led Major League Baseball in RBI and went nuts. Stroman first half, he was nuts. That those 2 things have been spinning in my head a lot, but I just love the depth, and like we said, like was laid out. I think this Cubs team is in now. And they have the prospect capital. And, man, when you said PCA in center, Belly to first, I'm almost, hey, Michael Busch, if it clicks, or Mervis, whatever it is at first base, PCA shirt. Might as well get a couple of those at the shop, shop.johnboymedia.com. I guess I'd almost love if they did that now. Then
you move Busch to DH and Patty Wiz?
Earn it. And when injuries come, use it as depth and go from there. I think it's going to sort out for the Cubbies this year. I guess I don't believe in like a high end. I kind of like the other teams in the Central to fully click, but I have the Cubs being a wild card playoff team. 87 wins.
Okay.
Triple over. Best names in the organization: Luke Little, Burl. Don't even care what his last name is, Caraway, but Burl as the first name's awesome. Diego Dugarte. That's fun alliteration. Jake Slaughter. Duh.
Obviously.
And then Dick Lovelady's in their system, so it's the easiest, best name in all of baseball, maybe.
We're also just used to Jan Gomes' name now, but that's a great name.
Jan Gomes is a good name, but I mean, this guy's name is Dick Lovelady.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Go Cubs, go.
Cubs pod.